Thank you, Abby. Thank you, everyone. Had to get the mic and mic button working properly. So thank you very much. I want to talk today about partnering with God in business. God is your thought leader. God is your mentor. God is your coach. And of course, I need to kind of draw the correlation back to the lessons that I learned to realize that God is the business partner. So, as you heard in my introduction, from 6 to 23 years old, I was a regular church goer. I did all the things that a regular church teenager would do. I had church friends and did all of that. And then essentially what ended up happening is I moved away, started business, started a career, and I kind of saw my business as my arena and church was God's arena. And so I was in my lane, God was in his lane. On Sundays, I would pray, but on Mondays, it was back to spreadsheets and reports and projects and things like that. And over time, as you heard, God really had to teach me a very hard lesson. I got to the point where I thought production in business was all that mattered. And as a result, as you heard, I became disconnected from my kids. My wife at the time, we were more roommates than anything else. And my health and my weight just spiraled out of control and just everything kind of blew up. I like to say that I shut everything down, but in reality, I burned it all to the ground. There's no doubt about that. My company shut down, my marriage shut down, left my country, and I left my country because at that time I was seeking something and God basically started to apply himself back into my life, and he basically gave me someone, he sent me someone to start with, to start over with, somebody that would show me a better way, a better path, a better way to love, a better way to be loved, a better way to have balance in both work and life, and how to be actually part of a family as well as being part of a business. So this was my life's reset at the age of 40. And, God just doesn't want to bless your business. He wants to build it with you. And that was the message he said. We're going to be building something together and we're starting again. So the first, I got 5 concepts I want to introduce here. And the first one is remember who gives the ability. So that's the verse in Deuteronomy 8:18. It says, but remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the ability to produce wealth and so confirms his covenant, which he swore to your ancestors as of today. Notice that God doesn't, it doesn't say that God gives you wealth. He gives you the ability to produce it. He gives you the ability to be creative, to be problem solving, to have endurance, to be leadership. These aren't just skills, but these are spiritual gifts from God for stewardship. And as entrepreneurs, a lot of times we think that we're the incomplete engine in our business. And God has to remind us, I gave you the blueprint. I give you the fuel. I even give you the spark. So this is a true partnership in business. This is a true partnership, and remembering that is a form of worship and it's a form of gratitude. So ask yourself this question when we think about this first concept. Am I inviting God to build business with me, or am I just asking him to bless something that I've already built? And I think that we need to know the answer. We need to be asking for, we're building this together. Remember, this is a partnership. So concept number 2 is about seek divine strategy, not just business tactics. And that's the verse, James 1:5. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. So as an entrepreneur, we have our moments when logic just isn't enough. We've got data problems, we've got deals that collapse, we've got people that are disappointed, clients are upset, we got things that are going to happen. Logic just isn't enough at that time. In those moments, I've learned that wisdom is not the same as intelligence. Intelligence solves the problems, but wisdom prevents them. Wisdom is a combination of our past experiences and our lessons learned. And as a result of that, I started with my daily prayers. I've started to change that a little bit. And I'm like, Lord, show me what I can't see. What are my blind sides? Help me to make decisions based on heaven's perspective And please help me to not let fear make the decisions for me. So what are my blind sides? What is that kind of divine strategy that God wants to inject into the business? And then it's all well and fine to have those prayers, but then if you're not making the time to be quiet and listen for the response, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're only communicating half of the vision. So I need to sit in quiet sometimes. Sometimes it's outside with my coffee, but sometimes God speaks to me through scriptures. Sometimes I get spoken to through something that a mentor will say. And in this age of AI, which I use extensively every day for business, everything, in this age of AI, who's to say that God is not influencing the responses that I get when questions are asked? Who knows? So I have to, I had to throw that out there, because sometimes, it'll come back with some answers and I'm looking at that going, wait a second, where did that come from? So the most important thing though is I have to make time to actually listen for those answers. So every meetings, before workday and that, just ask God for your wisdom, ask him for the wisdom and for the guidance. And so when the wisdom leads, our success in business is going to naturally follow. Concept number 3, redefining abundance. And the verse with redefining abundance is 2 Corinthians 9:8. And God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things, at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work. This verse really reframed my definition of prosperity. See, abundance isn't about accumulation. Abundance is about availability. It's not about how much can I get. It's about how much am I ready to give. See, when you start to see yourself as a vessel waiting to be filled and not a vault, you're going to realize that God can pour a lot of interesting things and work and wisdom in that through you, and that you can then turn around and share it with others. So all of a sudden, generosity becomes a growth strategy in your business. With its every deal, every client, every dollar can actually be a ministry when we see abundance as purpose and not possession. Abundance is not just financial means, it's our time and it's our energy. It's where we put our focus. It's, we give of our time. So if abundance is not about accumulation, but availability, then I want to be available when people need me. Money is just one form of abundance or wealth. One of my favorite authors, Robin Sharma, has this beautiful book he wrote called The Wealth Money Can't Buy. And it talks about 8 different strategies of wealth, none of which are money. And so it's really fascinating that God wants us to live an abundant lifestyle. He does not want us living in scarcity. He provides for us. So we need to be able to, be accepting of that. And just remember that God as a father is no different than any of the fathers here on this call. We want to give to our children. We want to make sure that they've got great things. God's no different. Concept number 4, using prayer as a business strategy. And this is the John 16:24 and Matthew 7:7 verses. Until now, you've not asked for anything in my name. Ask and you will receive, and your joy will be complete. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you. Prayer is probably the most underutilized business advantage in the world. Early in my journey, I would pray when I was desperate. I would pray when I needed something. When, business was going away, I'd pray. It's like, please help me here. Please. God taught me that prayer is not an emergency hotline. It's a daily meeting. It's like a daily meeting with the CEO of the universe kind of thing. It's like talking to my business partner. So now when I pray in the mornings and that, I'm like, Lord, what are you building today and how can I help? And what is my role in this? Real different shift in the way that we approach that and the way that I approach it. What are we building today? What's my role? Where are we going next? Because when you partner with God, he not only opens the doors, but he builds new ones where there were walls. Think about that email, that phone call that just comes out of the blue, totally unexpected. There wasn't even a door there. It was a wall. And God had created this opportunity for you. So the encouragement about this one, though, is something that I wrestle with a little bit. Is you need to understand that if you feel like you've been praying like that and you've been asking and you're knocking on the door and no one's answering right away, just keep knocking. God's delay is not a denial. Okay, it's just a little bit about his timing, and I like the idea that it's more like he's just redesigning the room before he wants to let you come into it, before he wants to open the door and let you come in. So one of the things that I sometimes struggle with is my timing versus God's timing. And I have to remind myself that it's God's timing, it's not my timing. And while I think things are going to need to become a little bit faster than that, God's like, nope, my timing, not yours. Go back to doing what we need to do. And the fifth concept I wanted to introduce you to and give you is around aligning your desires with his desires. And that's the Psalms 24 verse. May he give you the desire of your heart and make all of your plans succeed. When we walk closely with God, our desires begin to transform. Our goals start to become highly focused. When our desires transform and we focus our goals, our capabilities expand, and then our performance in business becomes elite. We stop being about the status and we start being about significance and impact. And when success becomes sustainable because it's aligned in those goals, then that's when we can actually start to experience scale. So it's like getting on the same page with a solid leadership team between you and God and aligning the desires, aligning the goals, and applying the high focus to that. So, ask yourself, would this goal still matter if no one ever applauded me for it? Well, if the answer is yes, then obviously that is a God-aligned desire, a God-aligned goal that you have in your business. And when the plans line up with his purpose, success no longer is uncertain, it's now inevitable. So 5 concepts with partnering with God in business. First one is God gives us the ability. He gives us the ability. Second, God gives us wisdom. The third, God gives us abundance. Fourth, God gives us access. And the fifth one, God gives us alignment. Entrepreneurship isn't about working for God, it's working with him in a partnership. When we stop striving and start surrendering, the work becomes worship, the profit becomes the purpose. So a challenge I want to leave everyone with is this week, before you open your laptop, before you jump on your phone, all that kind of stuff, just take a minute and ask a couple of key questions. Say, Lord, what's your will in our business today? Our business today. What do you need to show me today? And then one of the ones I'm always praying is, Lord, I want to seek wisdom and guidance. Help me as I conduct my meetings, as I respond to emails, as I create client deliverables. Please whisper wisdom, guidance, and direction into my ear.